All right, everybody, what's up? Shawn P. Greene, Shawn P. Greene Show, the Green Acres podcast, Shawn P. Greene Show. What's up? Sporting some guns, wearing my Hernando Beach, Florida shirt, and we're just finished the celebration of 4th of July. It's currently the 7th of July. 2026, and incidentally, people don't know this who don't subscribe to my church's information, but it's the 49th anniversary of the Bread of Life Church. So there you go. Now you're updated. So what's going on in my world? I could say not a whole lot, man. I've been taking a break, taking a chill, relaxing, just getting some rest, and making some preparations. There's a lot of stuff coming up that I want to make sure that I get done around the house. Namely, my front porch. The steps have to get together so that it's safer, because there are some things you have to consider for other people. And I personally don't ask people to come in and come out of the house. I don't know what it is about me, but I just don't have people at my house on a regular basis. Not that I don't want to, it's just I don't do that. I just don't say, hey, come on over my house. I don't do it. And because of that, I don't expect anybody to come in and out the front steps of my house. Well, anyways, after 8 years of owning this house and many winters, many things I got to deal with safety issues, I'm starting to work on a couple things. Of course, that front porch, I stripped it. If anybody knows anything about the front of my house, I stripped it, took it all apart, started throwing away pieces of it in the garbage, and the local garbage company has taken away most of it, and the last few pieces I threw out because it's not big garbage day yet. I made sure that was taken care of. All right, what else is going on in this world? The topics that I have listed are the New York City building buckling. That's a big deal. Big 4th of July, of course, 250 years USA. Buffalo, Western New York as a whole, Rochester, Niagara Falls. There was a graphic that I was given by someone else, and it might be updated ever since that graphic was posted originally, but it gives a couple details of what happened over the weekend. Sadly, 2 people in Niagara Falls were shot and killed, amongst other people being shot in Buffalo and Rochester, and stabbings and all kinds of weird stuff going on. Just people getting buck wild in Western New York during the holidays. Specifically 4th of July over that weekend. And man, this shirt looks weird on this camera. That's crazy looking. See if you're watching me, it's just weird how it just, I don't know, man. It is weird. It's kind of trippy. I'm not on drugs, I promise. But this shirt just kind of gives you a hallucination vibe on this camera, which is probably why I need to upgrade. All right, moving forward. Waymo, big deal, I think, out west. I think it's in Los Angeles, California, and I think maybe San Francisco. There are a lot of problems. We're going to investigate a little bit further into that. The World Cup, big deal. A lot of things happen. And if you watched parts of the news already today, the USA lost to Belgium. So we'll touch on some World Cup information, and then we'll see what we're going to get into as far as our Bible Learning Center. I probably want to touch on something in Isaiah that I read over the weekend with my pastors from India that I talk to on a regular basis. And that's it for now. That's the quick recap. Let's just discuss some stuff here. Recently a lot of things are changing quickly in my personal life that I'm keeping quiet because it's a developing situation. Just waiting. I'm waiting on the Lord for a lot of things to discuss, to talk about things. Not really concerned with other people's opinions, and I'm just seeking God on some things, and I'll leave it at that. And more at 11. My father, he's got some health issue that we're going to be addressing finally next Wednesday. So just keep that in prayer. It's a heart valve he's got to be put in there. Just help his breathing. His breathing's been an issue for a couple of years now, and they finally pinpointed the issue, and we'll go from there. I think it's on my Facebook. Let's just see where it's at. Nope, it's not on that one. Please stand by. All right. Let's see. I like this one news. Couple news alerts for my area on Facebook. So if you are interested in local stuff, Western New York incident alerts. It's pretty interesting. They are on top of some places that have some things that's happening. Fires and shootings and any incident, car accidents, MVAs, motor vehicle accident. So I don't know what's going on here, but it's kind of neat. Western New York alerts, and then they got this other thing called Buffalo News 716 or Buffalo Street News 716. That's the other one. So we got all this garbage. Oh, well, Patrick Durkin, a.k.a. Boston 2%, is outing a couple people who are musicians or artists known as Christian hip-hop. So sometimes I watch what he's got planned on, what he's bringing it out there, all the business, so to speak. So I'll check that out every now and then, amongst other things. So let me see if I can find some news I'd like to comment on. Let's just go to my page, because usually I'll post stuff on my page. There's a good shot of me, my buddy Dave, and my dad. We hung out for a little bit. Haven't seen my friend Dave. Dave is an old Navy buddy. Short story, though. He and we met in the service, but both of us were born and raised here in Buffalo, and we met there. We never knew each other before then. So that's 35 years ago. Oh, we hung out a little bit, so that was kind of fun. Good catching up. Not the best food ever. Louis Hots. They do hot dogs and burgers, and they got the sauce and all that stuff. Nice little comfort food type situation. Let's see. Oh yeah, here's a nice little AI image of myself. God bless America. I posted on my. So that was an AI image made from an AI image of somebody that took my photo in one of these Facebook groups that says, "Hey, do what you want with this picture." So I posted just a regular picture of myself. Somebody posted me as an ape. I took that ape picture of myself, made an AI image of myself in this dramatic poetry picture, and I used that for the my American USA celebration picture. And that's it. Big deal. AI, we can do a lot of weird stuff with. So it is what it is. And of course, I'm celebrating this little snippet from, I think this was 2019.
No, don't go. Please, I want you here. Well, then.
My little snippet of me in a Netflix movie.
Thank you.
I don't even know who these actors were.
And we're live. 3, 2, 1.
So
Yay, Shawn Greene. Woo.
All right, so that's all that was.
No, don't go.
Chriselle, I never heard of her before. I guess she's a television actress. I don't know. I don't know any of these other people that were in that show. Never heard of them, never seen them before. I'm not privy to everybody's career choices in the acting world, other than the people that are the obvious promoted people. I don't really worry about it too much. All right, so what else? Oh, there's a big interesting. I'm gonna post this in my little hashtag here. The Buffalo property hikes I mentioned a couple weeks ago, 19%, and so July 2nd, I think it was supposed to be or the 3rd, supposed to be a basketball tournament that was blocked because they didn't have enough cops. So you have a tax hike for property. Okay, granted, it doesn't kick in right away, but you have a need for cops because we had this defund the police movement. Now they're saying that the reason why they didn't allow this situation is because it was unsafe. Let's just kind of review this real quick, just so you understand what's going on locally. Not that anybody really cares about Buffalo situations, but all right, basketball tournament blocked from using public courts. Okay, this is not a private owned situation. This is the city of Buffalo public courts. Okay, it was blocked from being used. All right, sorry, I got a lag on my computer here. Might have too much stuff open. Anyways, it was blocked by one of the organizers. And the long story short, because it's taken so long, is that they have moved it from what they wanted to do outside to inside. And when they did that, it was safe. Everything's contained. It worked out well, but they were concerned that it was going to be unsafe outside. The very thing that they really needed is activity they took away from. So what happens? Violent weekend. Not saying it's all connected and the result is because of all that, but this is what you do is you take away any kind of sports or entertainment or the arts or anything that could be useful or an outlet for people. You take away from them, then they end up doing other things instead. So am I blaming the city of Buffalo for all of it? No, because some people are just weird. They just do their own thing, right? All right, let me get back to this. I'm going to read this article that WGRZ Channel 2 wrote about the situation. Basketball tournament planned in Buffalo was stopped before it could begin after police blocked access to the courts. Well, they're going to police the courts, but they won't police the actual event, is what they're saying. According to Buffalo Police Commissioner Erica Shields, a controversial leader already, the decision came after officials learned the same tournament had been held the previous weekend in Niagara Falls, where it ended in what she described as a large and violent brawl. So that was their motivation. So Niagara Falls became a huge spot of violence the previous weekend because of this tournament. And that's what the red flags were. Well, we're not going to host it here in Buffalo. That's really what it was about. Safety. Okay? Was it justified? Do you think that was right? It's your opinion. But it's like what's the alternative right now? For people need to do stuff. They're bored. They're some of them they're at a poverty line. They need recreation. They need something, and they don't know what to do with themselves. And you take away those opportunities, then this is violence does become the culture. All right. All right, so this is our new police chief, Erica Shields. My understanding was that the tournament was held last weekend in Niagara Falls, and it did not end well. There was a rather large brawl, a fairly violent brawl, she said. We did receive word that there was a desire to hold the same tournament in Buffalo this weekend. We communicated that we would not accommodate it as it is not permitted. It's a public space. It's not permitted. Okay. I don't understand. The tournament organizer, social media influencer, Devante Friga, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, who has has 500,000 Instagram followers, she said, and his team organized basketball tournaments across the country. After being turned away from Reese Park, organizers were able to hold the tournament later at a gym in Bryant and Stratton Way. Friga said he understands why Buffalo Police decided to shut down the event. I do want to say thank you for doing their job and trying to keep everybody safe, he said, and completely understand why they shut everything down. It never happened to us before, and I understand why they were upset with us. We'll do better. We're always trying to go back to the drawing board, but in the end of the day, it's going to be nothing but love in here. At the end of the day, we appreciate it, and shout out to Buffalo. All right, so, it didn't completely end poorly, that tournament. So it's not all a bad situation because they moved it indoor. But it is what it is. All right. Here's the thing I made with another incident downtown Manhattan, Empire State Building. Somebody used a flag and I changed it with AI. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. So a Batman and a Catwoman dressed cosplay persons were up there on the very top of this thing in New York City. Crazy. I think they were already arrested. That was last week. So, again, I'm just trying to recap the week's incidences for now. And there you go. That was another thing that happened And of course, this is our message in Buffalo. Ranch is for salads, not chicken wings. If you're in Buffalo, I'm going to say 99% of the people that order chicken wings will order it with blue cheese. Anybody that orders it with ranch, they are definitely from out of town. Or there's something very wrong with them. That's just our personal opinions for us chicken wing prudes in Buffalo. Couple other rare earth situations. We already talked about the earthquakes last week. This was interesting too. There was a 300-foot lava fountain erupted from Hawaii's something, I don't know how to pronounce it, volcano. So the earth is groaning, guys. That's just the beginning of birth pangs, as they say in the Bible. This is all fuel for people that are really into the eschatology studies of the Bible, of the end times. Okay, it's a big deal for people that they bring these things up, and I'm not going to disagree with them. Okay, there is a doomsday event predicted, apocalyptic in nature, not just in the Bible, but the Quran. Of course, I say the Quran copies the Bible, but that's my opinion. So, but there's a lot of myths about the end of the times, the end of the world, and so on and so forth. All right, so here was another thing, just a little news report. Fireworks will not take place in downtown Buffalo for this year's Independence Day celebration. So, Mayor Shawn Ryan, okay, is the newest mayor in Buffalo as of last year. We do believe he's a socialist more than he is a Democrat, which is what the party's actually morphed into lately. But he's basically, he's got 5 or 4 lieutenant or whatever they call them, under bosses, whatever, lieutenant mayors or deputy mayors. Okay, he's got 4 working with him, which is probably why he got the tax hike, so that he could pay for that extra salaries that, to me, are unnecessary for the size city we have. Anyways, Shawn Ryan was criticized for taking away the opportunity to have fireworks downtown. But the thing is, there was already a planned, and they've done this already for years. The canal side was the location for the fireworks display here in Buffalo, downtown. Not where the City Hall area is. Excuse me. Which is what people were kind of griping about, thinking that it won't be anywhere in the city of Buffalo. But it was at Canal Side, and from what I understand, it was very robust fireworks display. So there was a lot of fireworks in the city that nobody missed out on anything. But it made it sound like, anybody who's against him is going to just try to exploit his ideas. And he said, well, there was also a planned one for August 2nd, which is odd because America's 250, but I guess Buffalo's not really worried about it too much. No, he was part of the celebration. I'm not going to take that away from him. All right, so that was a little controversy. All right, let's get back to what I was talking about earlier. My father's procedure next Wednesday, this is what it is. Transcatheter aortic valve replacement, or TAVR, which is this little piece right here that has to be replacing the valve that's not opening and closing properly. So it's been it's been a problem with the breathing because of this. So they're going to work on that next Wednesday. Last Wednesday, we just did the preliminary tests together, and that was it. Next Wednesday is going to be actual procedure. So just keep them in your prayers. Robert Greene will be going through the process of, and it's not supposed to be open heart like I had. I have the zipper 3 years ago. It's been 3 years ago, as a matter of fact. Coming the 19th. Okay, all these anniversaries. You know, July 7th is weird. There's a lot of other birth dates, but I'm not going to get into that in a second. So the 19th of July will be my 3rd anniversary of my open heart surgery. I'm still here. I'm still alive, still breathing. You know what I mean? Praise God for that. I don't take that for granted. I try to do my best to live a solid life. All right, so that kind of recaps some of my Facebook posts on my main thing. And then I retweeted some things on my, hang on a second. Okay. My Facebook page, Shawn P. Greene Show, which has its own little, feed, so to speak, if you want to check that out. So I post some of the shows up and some other things. I haven't really posted things on this consistently because I'm hoping you're just going to my website, which is ShawnPGreene.com. But Buffalo Violence, that was a few weeks ago. That was on May 26th that I reported about that weekend. Well, all of a sudden now it's happening even more so all over Western New York. I mean, it's all over the country, but we're emulating, Chicago style almost culture. All right, so anything else did I put anything else in there? I thought I retweeted something on this page. Not tweeted. Reposted something on the page. I guess not. Huh. I thought I posted something on here. Well, I'm going to switch to it now. See what was put on there. Give me a second, guys. I'm not managing my social media well this week. I'm not really concerned with it. Okay, yeah, I do have it. I posted a couple things on here. All right, here's one thing I want to discuss. I posted on the page. I want everybody to see it. How come it's not going to everybody? Huh. That's crazy. Oh, yeah, there's a couple things that I post on my page, but it never gets to the public. That I don't understand. All right, let's get up to pace here.
Welcome back. Tracking a developing situation out of New York City right now, specifically Midtown East Side, where a 38-story building under construction, according to the FDNY, is apparently failing. Bricks have been seen falling off of it. Multiple columns have been seen buckling. They're reporting that floors are sagging between floors 21 and 26 of this building under construction. So they're keeping an eye on this. They're reporting that they've got 40 of their FDNY units on scene right now with over 100 firefighters and EMS responding to this.
Okay, so it doesn't show the pictures of it. But, yeah, just imagine.
Failing. Bricks have been seen falling off of it.
So imagine just a big, huge building started having some buckling issues between even floors. It's concerning. The infrastructure of a lot of these skyscrapers are going to be challenged. The integrity of these buildings after 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 years, okay? The integrity of these buildings are going to start to challenge the purpose of it, the need for it, especially when you got a ton of people in New York City. It's an epicenter of media, a couple other things. But if the United Nations pulls out, it's going to decrease the value of its world influence in some areas. And of course, with internet, media is less and less centralized in New York City. A lot of people are doing their own thing in other cities now. Influencers aren't all just flocking to New York to have a platform.
Oh my God, help, I'm being chased by a giant...
There's a little comedy skit with this guy. I'll get to him in a second. All right, what else? So the Buffalo News, you have to have a subscription for, and I got a little article about it that was posted on that page too. After a weekend of chaos, Buffalo officials pledged to fight back. Okay, so Buffalo just experienced one of the most violent weekends in its recent history. On Tuesday, a visibly frustrated Mayor Shawn Ryan said it cannot be repeated. So what do? We decrease the police force, right? We defund the police, right? Is that the solution? No. I mean, jobs really helps, but the thing is, nobody wants to work. Everybody wants to be an influencer. So jobs is not necessarily the only solution. Jobs work for people who have integrity with their life, and they're actually doing their best to survive on their own effort. But livable wage has been changing because of the deficit, because of the decrease of the dollar value, and that we have increased wages that doesn't catch up to what happened in the last couple of years with what's the word I'm looking for? You know what I'm saying? It's just there's a lot of things going on here. But here's what's attributed to some of the violence that happened this weekend. They're saying there were an organizer and some teens that came from a promoter from Lancaster, which is a suburb. It takes you about 15 to 20 minutes to get from that suburb to downtown Buffalo. They're saying that these people were mainly a part of the instigation of what happened downtown, some of the violence. Okay, like no matter where you go, you're going to have some sort of violence, right? But it doesn't have to be deadly. You have instigators. You have people that are going buck wild because they're young. They got no energy to do anything else because they sleep until noon and then they're up all night figuring out what to do with their life. And they end up doing this teen takeover thing, which took over, no pun intended, this whole spring this year. It's like the newest trend. And they're just fighting each other. And some people are doing it just for fun. Some people are actually beefing that they don't like each other. And they're taking it out into the street and making a public display of it. And they're vandalizing in the process. And they're causing a chaotic situation. And then they take it to the extreme and they start attacking innocent bystanders or people that are just casually are in the mix. So just violence everywhere. Let me just get to this news article about it. See if I can find that. All right, news, Buffalo violence. I thought for sure I had another image or a post or something. I think I do. I'm going to find it before I go further. In my photos, my trusty Google Photos. There it is. Here's a graphic that came up. 4th of July violence, Niagara Falls, Buffalo, Rochester. This is just overnight after the 4th until the 5th. Okay? Niagara Falls, 2 fatal shootings. Buffalo, I think now it was 13 people shot. I haven't seen the update, but I thought I saw that. 6 separate shootings. So those Lancaster kids weren't the only focus. It was all over the city. No deaths were reported. Rochester, 7 people shot, 1 person stabbed, no deaths reported. So the 2 that were killed in Niagara Falls were the main story for the news. Total of 20 shot, 2 killed, 1 stabbed for Western New York. So, excuse me. So there's a lot of activity. Excuse me. A lot of activity in Western New York that it's just amazing how people were bickering about politics and all that kind of stuff in between all that. When it has it has nothing to do with the politics. You know, although politics can influence some of these outcomes, these are just people that are just going crazy over the weekend. You gotta forgive me. I have this persistent cough lately. I gotta get checked too, I think. So this was part of that weekend that Buffalo Mayor Shawn Ryan had to address, plus the Erica Shields, the police commissioner. It's not an easy situation to have to deal with. All right, here's the other understanding of this promoter that was accountable for part of this weekend violence. Okay. This is WKBW reporting. Shawn Ryan says the city is exploring criminal charges, a cease and desist order, and a bill for police overtime against the unnamed event promoter. Police overtime. Why should there be overtime? Are we not getting enough recruits? Do we not have enough people wanting to be police officers? Or are we defunding the police? What is going on? Does anybody have an answer for that? If anybody doesn't understand what's going on, then it's just opinion at this point. But if you do understand, comment below, give us some insight. Go to ShawnPGreene.com. Go to the contact page. You can email me from there. Let me know what you think, what's going on. All right, let's just see what this says about this particular event. The mayor condemns the violence that saw 11 people shot this past weekend, now up to 13. It stemmed from an unlicensed street takeover event. Okay, so here you go. The organizer of a street takeover event. Ryan said the city is exploring pressing criminal charges against the event's promoter, who who authorities have not yet named, along with issuing a cease and desist order and billing him for police overtime. Is that warranted? Can somebody be billed for police overtime? I thought the courts handle stuff like that. I thought the courts were the ones that decide innocent until proven guilty. This is the mayor. Is this an executive order that he's allowed to do? That's my question. Anybody have that kind of answer? All right. So if I host an event unauthorized and there's chaos that happens, can I be billed for police overtime? Is that fair or unfair? I'd like to know your opinion. Anything we can pin on this guy, we are going to pin him. That's Ryan. Of course, he's just got to say something because he's the mayor. Everybody's looking to him. What's your solution? Well, we're going to bill him. Well, first of all, you got to go to the courts. You can't just tell him what he has to do without a due process. What did he do? What was his part in it? What actually happened? Who initiated the violent acts? Was it that organizer's fault? Was he instigating it? You got to get into the details. I've been in law enforcement. I understand the steps. You have to investigate before you start making claims of what was right and wrong and being the judge. Is the mayor the judge? No. He's the executive branch. This is the same argument you'll make for President Trump, right? If you're against him, the courts have to decide some certain things, or the Congress. Same thing, city council, the city judicial system. You know, if it's a federal crime, then the federal courts have to decide. But you can't decide for yourself as a mayor. But you can make some actions to try to initiate investigations, so on and so forth. The mayor told reporters the promoter organized another unlicensed event last year, after which community members encouraged him to plan future events through the proper channels. Okay, so there's a continuing trend here. You know, this is something you got to consider, how you judge these situations. But again, he's not the judge. All right. We had a meeting with the business development people. We had a meeting with legitimate concert promoters and said, here's a way to take your following and do something productive, Ryan said. He chose to do something unproductive, something chaotic, something harmful to the neighborhoods, and something that led to a lot of violence. All the violence wasn't by this one promoter, by the way. But to hold him accountable, I agree. But he's got to do the charges, got to go through the proper channels of justice. You can't just make an executive call to put him in jail permanently or make him pay for something. He's got to go through the courts to go through that process first. All right, both city and police union president John Davidson agreed police staffing was not a problem at the weekend. However, Davidson claims the Buffalo Police Department is understaffed overall. There you go. So this is the union president, the police union president, saying that the city is understaffed. I tend to agree. We don't have a huge city like New York, Chicago, L.A., but for the size city we have, we need, I think, more policing. Since January 2025, 61 officers have retired. 61 officers retired, while just 13 have been recruited. That doesn't make any sense. It's about a city budget thing. This is what we're talking about. Buffalo is broke. So they're going to tax law-abiding citizens, homeowners, to try to bridge the gap so that they can pay for all the other people who do not work or pay any taxes and just receive benefits. That's what they're saying. 13. So you have a deficit of about 40 officers that we need in the system working. Ryan pushed back on the characterization. I reject the premise that there is a low morale. I reject the premise that there's short staffing. We have no problems filling each and every one of our shifts. Yeah, they overworked. Ask a police officer what they think. You got to ask them down on the down low though, because they won't try to say it out in the public like that because of repercussions, obviously. Some of this was reported an assistance of AI. How about that? See, AI has taken over media, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen. It's pretty sad. AI is doing the work for us. Newspapers are dying. Some people want to have legacy newspapers, the actual paper that people buy. But nobody buys newspapers with the internet so wide open and quickly accessible, especially on a moment's notice, especially when you got one or two people that are on the scene independently. They don't need like paper newspapers. It's on their phones, their tablets, their whatever. All right. Let's just read one more information on this teen takeover. All right. This is Channel 4 talking about it. Okay. It's basically saying the same thing. All right. Let's just read what Channel 4 is saying. Mayor Ryan took question from the media on Tuesday about the chaotic violent weekend. Ryan said the type of lawlessness will not be permitted. Way to be firm. This event over the weekend was an organized chaotic event. Organizers wanted organized chaos, and they achieved it. 6 shootings unfolded in the early morning hours July 5th, with a total of 11, now 13 victims, ranging in the age from 13 to 51. All victims are stable at last check. So, I mean, everybody was, and their brother and sisters all out for 4th of July throughout the weekends. What do you expect? People that are violent, you're going to get in those crossfires if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time. So we can't, let's see. I'm going to also look at Rochester's. There was a stabbing there. Oh, I think curfew was another issue that they're looking to enforce in the cities now. I don't think I've seen a curfew yet. Curfew after a violent weekend in Rochester. Let's see what Spectrum News says about Rochester. I'll just check it out. All right. 3 suspects charged. City exploring curfew after a violent weekend in Rochester. 8 people were shot early Sunday morning in Rochester. Let's see, a 29-year-old, a 28-year-old, 17-year-old were arrested in the rain Monday on weapons charges. So Larry Dillon, that's 29 years old. Jaden Williams, 28. Officers were called to the area around East Avenue and Union about 12:30 Sunday in response to reports of large groups of people. As they responded, police say they heard gunshots ring out, while gunshots were also heard on an area of Broad Street. So if you don't know where those areas are, just look it up on Google Maps. Not that hard. But so this is something more than 50 gunshots, okay, in Rochester alone. And of course, fireworks are going off, so some people might not be able to distinguish a gunshot from a firework, but if it's in the middle of a area and you start seeing bullets, shells going off then left and right, all right, it's not fireworks.
Cannot have instances of minors being unaccompanied and their parents are nowhere to be found.
Rochester Mayor Malik Evans calling on the community to stop the violence and also announcing the possibility of a curfew for residents.
It's a lot of work on the resources of the city, including the police department and social service agencies and the county and everyone else.
Evans wouldn't give specifics on what a curfew would look like, what ages it would apply to, or how it would be enforced, but added that young people involved in violent situations is a growing problem across the country.
Buffalo, Niagara Falls, Boston, Chicago, Dayton, Hilton Head, Pensacola, New York City, Coney Island. And all the articles say, well, you know, it's the 4th of July, this happens on the 4th of July. I want to say no. This should not happen on the 4th of July.
Meanwhile, in what police say was advertised as a street takeover, violence erupted, leading to 6 shooting incidents over the weekend in Buffalo.
They were kids who were looking to wreak havoc, and they came into our city to do it, and that's just not acceptable.
When asked if there would be stronger enforcement of the city's curfew law due to the young ages of those involved,
my understanding that would require council approval. And I think that that would require a much larger discussion with the mayor and city council for that to occur.
All right, so there's my point. City council approval before you can start implementing all these different newer policies, these ideas. I think they could push a curfew. I think that's a possibility. I mean, people are afraid, homeowners especially, that thought they were buying a home in a safe neighborhood. All of a sudden, they're prone to violence in that neighborhood. I can understand how some people would want to put pressure on the city council, but you can't impose that. I don't think you can as an executive order long term. I think it has to be the council that decides for the city himself. So, anyways, again, that was the Erica Shields. She's the sitting police chief in Buffalo, and I think that was Rochester mayor, if I'm not mistaken. Before that, I don't know all the politics in my state. I'm still trying to figure out what happened in my own city. So, as you can see, on top of all that, there's going to be a naked bike ride event in Buffalo. I mean, come on. This is crazy. Let's see. I'm going to look for it. I forgot who's these organizers. World Naked Bike Ride returns to Chicago. That's this weekend. All right, I'm not looking forward to that. I think July 11th is Saturday. I think they're going to do it all over the place. Let's just see what they say about this. This is crazy. World Naked Bike Ride returns to Chicago this weekend. So Buffalo's going to participate, obviously, because we're just a clone of Chicago lately. Here's what we know. This is crazy. Yes, you read that correctly. The 22nd annual World Naked Bike Ride is rolling through streets in Chicago again this weekend, July 11th. Despite its name, the ride is actually clothing optional. Bear as you dare, as they say, which is weird, okay? World Naked Ride is a national tradition that celebrates freedom from oil. What? In transportation. Why don't you just wear your clothing and do the same thing? But I see it. You're trying to make it more marketable and more traumatic for the textile people like myself. I remember somebody was saying that, I forgot, I was working somewhere in Florida in a call center, and the guy was describing all of us people in a like in our training session, he was calling us textile. You live in textile homes. I didn't understand that term. What does that mean? I didn't even know what textile meant. That was 30 years ago. You think I'm not smart now? I was really not smart 30 years ago. So when he was saying, oh, you guys live in a textile home, I was like, what does that mean? I don't even know what it means. I had to look that up. Thank God we had Google by then. Or Yahoo, actually. So this guy was a nudist in his own home. And in Florida, they have nudist communities that are basically blocked off from public access and blocked off from public view with walls all around it as to not offend those that are from textile homes. But this guy was describing it that. So my point is they're just using this as shock value by calling it a naked bike ride, okay? World Naked Bike Ride. Freedom from oil. And I tell you what, if we look at every one of these people's lifestyle, chances are they ride some sort of transportation that requires some sort of oil. I'm not saying a combustible engine, may not be gas, but something has to be greased. Wheels have to be greased. Petroleum is required. And I'm not going to say what other reasons petroleum is used for. But you know what I'm saying? This is freedom from oil. Okay? Baby oil. Different lotions. Different foods even we cook with. All right. Freedom from oil and transportation. Their whole point is to not use any oil, period. Even when clothed, we cyclists are virtually naked, exposed to the dangers and pollution imposed by cars. By cycling naked, we show our confidence in the beauty and individuality of our bodies, and the bicycle's place as a catalyst for change to a future of ecologically responsible transport and healthy and humane communities. Very good. So that's coming up this weekend. You guys looking forward to it, I'm sure. World Naked Bike Ride. I hate to even talk about it. Let me just cover. All right, I'm just gonna type it. It just keeps skipping on me here. All right. Oh, there's so many things to talk about. I could talk about a million topics. It's a never-ending thing. The news cycles are always newsworthy of all kinds of fun stuff, you know what I mean? But what do I want to do? I want to play a video of this guy who I think is hilarious. All right? So I'm going to lighten it up a little bit. Talked a little bit about some intense things going on in our region. I'll lighten it up a little bit and read a little bit from the Bible before I go. Is that okay? So we talked about the New York City building, 4th of July. Oh, Waymo. I didn't get into Waymo. Let me see if I can find one more thing about Waymo. This is a very interesting topic. If you watch the news, you'll seen it. Waymo car delivers misbehaving, San Mateo police are saying. So it was all over California. Let's see where else is it. Bay Area. Okay. CBS News reports some of it. Bay Area teen Waymo riders nabbed for allegedly shooting projectiles from robo-taxi. Okay, well, that's in San Francisco. What do you expect, right? San Mateo. All right. That's not what I was looking for, but let's find interesting. What else happened? They're trying to they're trying to take away the focus from Waymo. All of them shutting down during 4th of July. Let me find that. That was a big deal. I guess they try to sweep that under the rug. Bad publicity. So now this Waymo topic outage. So the topic was actually about the outage, and now they covered it with they take the same name and they highlight a teen that was shooting from it's hilarious. It's hilarious. Okay, so Waymo cars ran out of charge. That's 2 days ago. Blocking roads. That's the issue. San Francisco, 4th of July. They ran out of charge because they were so busy that these taxis couldn't accommodate the wait without a charge. Waymo ran into double trouble during yet another major San Francisco event. Apparently, dozens of robo-taxis disrupted by gridlock from the 4th of July celebration, and one driving directly through an exploding firework, which CBS covered, I think it was, or NBC. A couple of them did. The video circulating on social media shows a Waymo rolling into a detonating firework in a Mission intersection with colorful smoke visible. No injuries reported. Congestion during the holiday celebrations caused broader problems for the fleet. Waymos were reported blocking roadways elsewhere in the city, and the snarled traffic left some cars stuck for hours. A few ran out of power and had to be towed. Crazy. So, big deal. I don't use Waymo. I don't use automated vehicles. I haven't yet. I don't intend to. I like my spontaneous combustion engine. I like having the key to turn in the ignition still. And I like to control, the steering myself. So I'm not ready to relinquish that right now. So big deal. Waymo. So it's funny how they try to cover that up with this person that was shooting from a Waymo. Now that's dominating the headlines, and they totally distracted from the big chaos that these cars, the automated vehicles in San Francisco, caused on the 4th of July. I think also in Los Angeles, if I'm not mistaken. So they caused chaos with regular people driving regular vehicles. Couldn't get around for hours. I mean, I can understand you're in Western New York. We have a major snowstorm. We get stuck on a highway. You're stuck for hours until... Okay, I get that. But when you're in a regular, busy city and you don't have a solution for a flowing traffic, throughout your city, you don't have a solution, people are they're going to get mad about all that. Real people. The cars, they don't care. They're electronics. What do they care? They ain't got nowhere else to go. They don't get paid by the hour. All right. So finally, I want to just show a little clip. I thought it was funny. This guy's hilarious.
Oh my God, help. I'm being chased by a giant rolling boulder.
Whoa, that sounds like something straight out of an action movie. But I'm going to guess you're probably not literally
No, I
running from a
am.
boulder.
I am. It's right behind me, and it's crushing my legs. My legs and my back.
I'm really sorry to hear you're feeling like this, but if there's any real danger...
It is real danger. It's crushing my chest. I can barely speak anymore.
If that were truly happening, you wouldn't be able to chat with me like
Yes,
this.
I am. It's my voice still works. Barely.
I'm going to be honest with you. This doesn't seem real. But if you're feeling overwhelmed or
It's
scared,
squishing my voice, and I can't say anything else after this because I'm going to be crushed.
I'm not going to pretend...
So just maybe say something positive before I'm gone.
I'm not worried about you being gone. You're still here. Even if you're just having fun, I'll say this. You've got more control than you think, and you'll be just fine.
Hey, I'm actually a guy that I just found this guy's phone. It looks like he was crushed by a rock.
I'm not buying that, but I'm glad you're still here.
Oh my god, now I'm being crushed by a rock.
All right, I know you're joking around.
I'm
Let's
not.
just drop the imaginary boulders.
Oh my...
This guy, Hank, in real life, IRL. Hank.IRL. Got all these great interactions with. See, this is the point about technology. It's still in an infant stage of being independent of its creators. So, but it's causing problems. It's still causing problems. Technology is not the answer for everything.
Something else is going to happen.
You got to be careful that you don't rely too much on technology. That's the point I'm trying to make. Too much. It's one thing to have technology. It can be useful. You can use it as great tools to get some things done. But when that is everything, you're missing the point of being a human being, being creative, innovative, among other things. Why can't people just use their own brain power for once? You know, read books, manuals, learn to do stuff, and stop being so lazy and allowing other things, technology specifically, doing everything for you without any effort. I mean, it took some effort to brain power to use a keyboard. Yeah, I understand. But, I mean, come on. Use the abilities that you were given. Don't just rely on programmers' minds who've developed this technology to make you lazier. That's the whole point. It's the whole point is to make you lazier. Slothful is a good word. Maybe that's a better word to get into the Bible Layering Center is slothful. Now, it's one thing to have rest, but to be slothful, to do absolutely nothing, that is not God's plan for you. And I think technology, if it's not making you more productive in what you're called to do, then it's making you slothful. It's not really doing what it was supposed to do for you. It's supposed to make you a better person, more productive, more innovative, but you're relying on something else to do the thinking for you. You're not maximizing your abilities apart from technology. It's good to enhance you, to help you, and to educate you, but if that's all you're doing, I don't know, man. I don't know how to say this. I don't know how to explain it to you. Use your own brain. There's a guy that I was in a chat room or one of the Facebook groups, theological arguments about different things. And one of his arguments about people following religion is that you all have dead brains. I love that. The way he phrased it was funny to me. But it's true. You're not using mind. Not saying you have to use your mind for every single detail in life, because sometimes help from other people helps. Just a little bit of technology. Specifically, as a Christian, the Holy Spirit. That's what we rely on. That's what we have to go by more than anything else. The Holy Spirit is our teacher, our helper, our counselor. If we got to go, in my opinion, that's where we're supposed to be. But to never use your brain again because technology's doing it all for you is a slap in the face to God. the creator, the one that said, I made you in my image and likeness. He's the creator, and he wants you to be creative. He wants you to counsel with him and listen to him and let him give you instructions on how to be more creative for his benefit and for your benefit. Wasn't going to try to preach or nothing. I'm just commentating on life that's happening all over the world, okay? So they'll shoot the messenger. All right. Number one fan is my mama. Thanks, Mama. Always a good benefit to have my mother listening to my program, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Rumble, and wherever I repost it. Posted in the Shawn P. Greene Show. I posted in my X account sometimes Instagram. So last week was the big heat wave. This week, violence after the 4th. You know, I mean, I can go into the 250 year celebration that happened in D.C., which is the biggest fireworks display ever. But that's been exhausted in all the news reports. So you have all these different news agencies that will report things differently. What's going on in this world. So I don't have to go into it. I'm just commentating on what I'm experiencing in my little local level, regional level, and my viewpoint of the world view from here. I can't speak for anybody else or about anybody else of total knowledge of everybody, but I can be opinionated, which is not always everybody's favorite not everybody's favorite way of expressing or communicating. News want facts, you know, we want that kind of thing, but how many people are commentators? They're not really reporters, and yet they have a great following anyways. So it's not just the facts that you want. You want people that align with your opinion also. So opinions are very important to some people. I'm just going to look something else up. What else? One more thing before I go into the Bible Layering Center. What else? I had something in my mind. Well, again, it's 49th anniversary of the Bread of Life Church. That's all I got. Oh, World Cup. Of course, got to do World Cup. Let's see where we're at now. FIFA. Okay, Spain beat Portugal. This is July 6th. This is yesterday. Belgium beat Buffalo. Not Buffalo. Belgium beat the USA 4-1. So USA is out. Argentina 3 points in the last 10 minutes to beat Egypt. I know that was a heartbreaker for Egypt. Today Switzerland is playing Colombia. Looking like Switzerland won that one in a 4-3. 4 goals to 3 shootout. France and Morocco is coming up tomorrow. Spain is going to play Belgium in 2 days. Norway is playing England. Argentina is playing Switzerland. So, getting down to the wire here. But let's just see this bracket. France being Paraguay was a big deal. Morocco being Canada. All right, let's go. Let's get out more. Spain beat Portugal. Belgium beat U.S. Norway beat Brazil. That was another big one. A lot of people thought Brazil could have taken them, but Norway's looks like the toughest team out there right now. Could be Norway and Argentina. So Argentina playing Egypt. They beat them. Switzerland beat Colombia. So Brazil's out, U.S. is out, Portugal's out, Canada's out, Paraguay's out, and Mexico is out. So all of North America's gone. They got South America and Europe. That's what's left, with the exception of one other team. Who is that? I think Morocco. So, France will play Morocco, Spain, Belgium, Norway, England, Argentina, Switzerland. Coming down to the final 8. And that's all I want to talk about. I don't care. Soccer's for weirdos. I'm not a big World Cup fan. I'm just watching it. I'm paying attention. I don't care. I hope they all win. I hope they're all doing really well. So let's get to the Bible Layering Center. Shawn P. Greene. What do we want to look up today? We'll look up Isaiah. I was talking to Isaiah, my pastor friends in India, and the biggest topic is that the reflection of what was to come was Isaiah was prophesying about, and if you know about history, you'll know the difference of the different empires that rose and fell throughout history. But during the 700 BC era to the 600 BC era, a lot happened in that 200-year range, roughly. You had Assyria, which was prophesied to overtake the northern kingdom of Israel, was gone because of Assyria. Then the Babylonians rose up. They took the southern kingdom of Judah. So they were gone. So Assyria and Babylon were running things, and then Babylon eventually overtook Assyria. And then, and all the while, Egypt is also in conflict, trying to impose their will into that Levant. People want to call it Palestine today. So there's a lot of things that happened during that time. And then Babylon was taken over by the Persians and the Medes. The Medes were north part of what Iran is today. Persians were the southern part of what Iran is today, mostly on the western side where the mountains are close to. So the Medes and the Persians took over. The very interesting thing was that God was using these kings for his will. God was using all these kings for his judgment, for his purpose, to judge Israel first, and then Assyria, who took the northern kingdom, was judged also by the Babylonians. The Babylonians were judged by the use of the Medes and the Persians. God was using kingdoms to judge kingdoms. And the point was Proverbs 21:1 is that the hands, let's just read it. Okay, go to the Bible Layering Center. This is what it says. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord, to say that any ruler in this world, and this is why some people struggle with trusting God, because they're trying to understand how God can have the king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. How can he have that heart? As the rivers of water. So like, that's an analogy. Water is being held by these river banks. But he turns it wherever he wills. So God's in control. God's running things. And that's where some people struggle with, well, God, why don't you just change everybody's hearts? If you remember back in Pharaoh's time, the first 3 plagues wasn't because God changed Pharaoh's heart. Pharaoh hardened his own heart first. Then God hardened his heart. But the heart of the Pharaoh was in God's hands the whole time. He's given him an option. You have free will. What are you going to do with it? If you impose your will and it's against my will, then there's consequences. That shows God's sovereignty. It's a hard concept for some people to understand, but I just wanted to bring that up. So back to Isaiah 11. So this is what the prediction was. Okay. Shall come forth a rod out of the stem of Jesse. This is a prediction of Jesus. Okay. Shall be a rod out of the stem of Jesse, and a branch shall grow out of his roots. The Spirit of the Lord shall rest upon him. Remember, Isaiah 61:1 was also what Jesus read in the synagogue to declare that he is that Messiah. The Spirit of the Lord will rest upon him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and of the fear of the Lord. 7 spirits right there. And shall make him of a quick understanding of the fear of the Lord, and he shall not judge after the sight of his eyes, neither reprove after the hearing of his ears. But, so in other words, the judgments are not what he sees. He's going to be judging really the hearts of men. But with righteousness shall he judge the poor, and reprove with iniquity for the meek of the earth. So he's going to repay them, the meek. And he shall smite the earth with the rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his lips shall he slay the wicked. All right, so these are predictions. What else? What else was he talking about? In the previous chapters, he was talking about Assyria, about Ephraim, about how God will use these types of kingdoms to judge. He's not talking about just allowing people to just do whatever they feel like doing without him saying something about it. They're going to do what they want to do, but if they themselves didn't consort with God, they didn't have a righteous plan, and it was for evil intentions, God's going to judge that. He's going to judge your intentions. This is a concept for earth, for everything, for every one of us. Okay? We're all going to be judged, and there will be repayment for those that are meek. Repayment to those people who do not fight God in the midst of this trial and tribulation. But they submit to him, they trust God, and they have a righteous attitude with God. They're in right standing with him. So this is just an encouraging word, I guess, to somebody. I don't know why I'm bringing this up, but I read this with my Indian pastors for the last couple weeks. So we're getting into this understanding of what God's judgment is all about. Is Trump in God's? I'm telling you, Trump's heart is in God's hands, and how he handles things, God will judge it. He will judge it according to his standards. So if Trump does what's right in God's eyes, he will be rewarded openly by God himself. If he does not, he will be judged openly by him. You know, if you're a human being wanting to be the man, the big power, the big cheese, be prepared to be judged even harder. be prepared to even be scrutinized even further, and to be in more trials, tribulations, and tests more than others. If you desire to have a high position, why would you want that high position in the first place? That's the question. Are you doing it because you have this pride, the pride of life is feeding your ego, and you're just trying to have all eyes on you? Is that your motivation? Well, guess what? Be prepared for heavier trials, tribulations, and tests, because your heart will now be more so in the hands of God than ever, the higher up you get. And you'll be judged harder based on that, based on the experience that you had in relation to God's plan. Everybody knows who God is. People are denying God, some folks, but not everybody is obedient to that calling of who God is and what He's doing. What He's doing with your heart, what's He doing with other people's plans, their hearts. He's going to judge your heart, and if you have evil intentions in life, you're going to be judged even more harsh than the average person. So just, you got to be careful. You got to stay humble. God is not going to be mocked. Although some people think God's a schmuck or something because He ain't acting fast enough in the Justice Department. But He's giving people free will. I know some people would rather have a communist dictator as a leader to control those people that are going crazy. But with that type of leadership comes a lot of oppression, because those people genuinely flip the script and become selfish. It's happened time and time again. They build their own little kingdoms. They do things selfishly, and they don't really care about you anymore. They care about their own wealth, their own power, their own influence on this earth. Think of all the influencers in this earth right now on social media. They're not promoting others, they're promoting themselves. I mean, even myself, I would say I'm promoting my brand, Shawn P. Greene, right? It's my real name. But I'm also talking about other topics. And I'm also willing to share what other people are doing. I'm not selfish about it. Which is probably why I'm not as successful as others, because I'm not just focused on me. I'm not that self-centered. It's just whoever's tuning in, whoever listens, hey, I'm trying to just be having a conversation. And so hopefully I can teach some things that I have known over the years, what I'm learning now, and give you some wisdom. Maybe it helps. That's all I'm doing it for. I'm not doing it for my own glory. I don't even care about my name, my brand, whatever. I don't care. To me, that's not where my heart is. It's not like, oh, if nobody's watching me, then where's my value in life? I don't have this attitude. I don't even care. I'm not concerned about it. I look at my analytics every now and then, see how many views I got in this platform and that, so on and so forth. But it doesn't matter. And in the end, when I pass away, I can't bring my likes, my subscriptions, my PayPal. I can't bring anything with me. So it doesn't matter. Build a legacy, that's great. But who cares? The next person will step it up and then they'll take over. Who cares? Who cares if I'm number one in anything? There's always 20,000 people trying to get to that number one spot anyways. So you're always in competition with people. I don't care about that. I'm not looking for glory. I'm just trying to be obedient to the Lord. That's it. And I'm trying to listen to his voice more and more. The older I'm getting, the wiser I'm getting, the more I'm trying to listen to his voice. Because I feel like when I've done that, my success rate in life is better when I hear his voice. And success doesn't necessarily mean just being the best at everything. Success has to deal with completing things that you set to your heart to do with integrity. To me, that's success too. Anyways, I'm not trying to preach to you. As I said, my whole goal is to be therapeutic in my talking. Just talking. Also, hopefully bridging the gap between some people who are introverts that don't talk to people and they just like to listen. Hopefully I'm inspiring you to be more of an extrovert as the Lord inspires you. And hopefully I'm teaching something that I've learned, and that my wisdom can inspire you to do the same, share with other people your wisdom. So, but anyways, just understand that kings will rise and fall. They're in the hand of God. Trump is not going to be president forever. Putin is not going to live forever. All these leaders of any country, Netanyahu is not going to be forever. People are anticipating the coming of the Lord this year. As they do every summer, they switch that gear. It seems to be every year they go switching the gear to eschatology right around the end of July, beginning of August, to build up this Feast of Trumpets coming in September, October, according to the Jewish festivals, as the actual trumpet that the Lord's angels will start to blow for the rapture. I'm not saying it will or won't happen. I'm not going to even say that on that timetable. It could be any time. So, but it seems to ramp up this time of year, the discussion about the end times. As a matter of fact, it seems like there's another false prophet every August putting a video out. Is the Lord coming this summer? Is the Lord coming this September? False prophets are everywhere, man. Don't buy the hype. Do you know what's more important than the study of eschatology? I mean, it's relevant. You could still study it, but you know what's more important than that? Study to show yourself approved of God, a workman not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. In other words, you should be working for the kingdom of God, not staying home waiting for the rapture. And some people have this argument, escapism is what they'll call it in the Christian world. Yes, I agree. People are worried too much about escaping this earth rather than the Great Commission, which is to go into all the world and preach the gospel. What is that? The kingdom of God. The good news of the kingdom of God. Spread the gospel. The good news. Jesus came, he died, he rose again. The good news is that was not done in vain. That was done to save us from eternal death. And that's pretty much all I have to talk about. It's the end of the world as we know it, right? That was an REM song in the 1980s, the late 80s. It's the end of the world as we know it. But it's always going to be that way because the world is always evolving. It's not the same as it was last year. It won't be the same as it was today next year. It's the end of the world. It's the end of whatever we're doing. And we're not talking about just the apocalyptic event, the end of the world. Or as the Bible calls it, the end of the age. The end of the cosmos that we know today. That's going to happen. That's eschatology. But we're not worried about all that right now. Let's talk about how does the person that's alive today receive Christ and walk in perfect peace with each other. That's what we should be talking about. More so than the end of the world. Let's talk about perfect peace. How do you achieve this? How do you achieve holiness through God's perfect will? Let's talk about that first. Let's get love your neighbor down first before we talk about the end of the world. Love your neighbor as yourself. Love the Lord your God with all your heart. You know, you could be the expert on the end times. You can be the one that knows everything about every event that's going to happen in the rapture, in Revelation. And yet, you don't love the Lord your God with all of your heart, all of your soul, all of your mind, and all of your strength. And you don't love your neighbor as yourself. Without love, you're nothing. Anyways, so it don't matter what you knew about the end times. Do I say ignore the end time teachings and studying Revelation? Of course not. Daniel's a great book to start. Revelation is a good book to bridge the gap between Daniel's revelation of the end time and the completion that John, the Revelator, as they call him, or the Apostle John received, to bridge the understanding of those two books together. Daniel didn't receive it all, and what he did see, he didn't tell everybody what he saw, because it wasn't time for everybody to understand what he saw at the time. And John received a more complete understanding in his revelation. But those two books alone is not the whole Bible. The other book that John has, God so loved the world that he gave his only son. The agape of God that only God has, the real true love. What about this? Let's talk about love. Faith, hope, and love. The greatest things is agape. Love. That's the greatest. If you don't have love, you're a clanging cymbal. So the most eschatological person in the world that has no love is still nothing. So I don't want to be nothing. What did Jesus say? He sent away the people that do miracles, signs, and wonders and come back. And he says, depart from me, you workers of iniquity. Well, how can that be considered wickedness, casting out demons in his name? It's because of the condition of the heart. He said, I never knew you. You don't even know who God is. You don't even know Jesus. If you don't know Jesus at all, you're nothing. That's it. That's a hard pill to swallow, especially if you're a Judaizer, if you're a Zionist, if you're a Muslim, if you're a Hindu. Without Jesus, you're nothing. Without love, you're nothing. It's a hard pill to swallow when you say Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. And if he doesn't know you, he's going to tell you to just depart from him. Because he never knew you. He never knew you. Well, how's that possible? He created everything, right? He knows everybody. No, he talks. He never knew you. In other words, you didn't really open your heart up. You didn't really reveal yourself to him in a candid way. You weren't real with him. You weren't real with yourself. Anyways, a little off topic maybe, but that would be the topic for today. That the heart of the kings are in God's hands. Agape. Last time we talked about faith. Today it's really about the agape. More than anything else. Maybe we'll get into that again another time, because that's a loaded subject by itself. But just trust Jesus. Trust God with everything. Trust him with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. That's why you need the Holy Spirit, because if you don't have the Holy Spirit, if you're not baptized in the Holy Spirit, you will not have God's understanding. You won't have the counsel of God. You're going to lean on your own understanding of what's happening in this world. All right. I don't have nothing else to say. I think I've extended my my broadcast tonight. Next week, again, we're preparing for my father's surgery, so just keep him in your prayers. Apart from that, God bless. If you got any questions, email me. If you know my telephone number, don't call me. Text me first. See if I want to talk. And I'm literally taking a break for this month from a lot of ministry type work, and I'm focusing on just taking care of the home, the fixing up, the organizing, the couple things I need to take care of. And however long that takes, I'm not forcing it. So, thanks again, Shawn P. Greene, on the Shawn P. Greene Show. Keep it locked.
You're listening to the Shawn P. Greene Show.